So I checked out the gameplay for Tears of the Kingdom, and I gotta say, I'm very impressed with everything they showed. That led me to wanting to talk about the abilities from the gameplay and talking about how they work, but also discussing things that will be possible with them. I'll also be discussing things that I believe will be in Tears of the Kingdom. Some of the first few things I noticed was how smooth the game was running. Literally, no frame drops at all. It also appears that the world has a lot more to offer than Breath of the Wild did, even though Breath of the Wild had a lot. And now this is where the fun stuff happens. The gameplay has some new features. So, the first ability is known as Recall. This ability allows you to take an object and recall it back to the place it came from. So if something was falling from the sky like they showed in the gameplay, then it would be sent right back up. So if you wanted to, you could hop on it and go right back up using recall, which is what they showed in the gameplay. Now to me, yeah, that sounds really nice and cool going up in the sky. Yeah, that's fun, that's great. But what I think is going to be really cool is adding it to the combat. How awesome would it be to just use recalling a projectile shot maybe by an arrow of a Lionel right back at him? Ain't nothing like that satisfaction you get. Or maybe you can even recall a laser beam shot from a Guardian right back to him. Crazy stuff. I know. Combat, I think, is going to be even better than Breath of the Wild, which I thought was pretty tough to top. So recall, yeah, it can add a lot of different dimensions to the game itself. And it already is. And literally, the game isn't even out yet. I also noticed in some of the other trailers prior that they were using recall for going on those little cargo cart things along the rails. I noticed that. And also recall was used for a rocket that I saw earlier in another trailer as well. The following ability is known as Fuse. Now, Fuse allows you to fuse an item and a weapon together to make something spectacular. Now you're probably asking, what's that going to create? Well, it's going to create a more lethal weapon. A weapon that normally you wouldn't ever get. So in this case, in the gameplay, they showed a stick and a rock. That created a hammer and made it much more powerful. And then they also did a spear and a stick to make it longer, so you have longer range to attack your enemy. And nonetheless, it still made it stronger. But what was interesting to me was the new gameplay feature, which allows you to use items with your arrows. So let's say you have a frost choo-choo and you want to use your arrow. You use your arrow, you equip your bow, you know, the whole Breath of the Wild, equip the bow and whatnot, and you're getting ready to shoot. Well, you're going to press side on your controller, and it's going to take it all the way through all your items and whatnot. Just go to the frost choo-choo, choose the frost choo-choo, and shoot that enemy because it freezes him. And that's what they showed in the gameplay, as you see right here. So it's really interesting stuff. And I also think that, yeah, what if you have bad aim? You're probably thinking, well, dang, I can't shoot to save my life. Quite literally. Then you can add the Keys eyeball, and that'll help you virtually hit any enemy. Like, it does not miss. You can probably face it up the opposite way and it'll still hit it. Now in the gameplay, they showed it hitting the enemy while it was a bit, so you can definitely see what I'm getting at here. You can miss and it's still gonna hit it. But to me, this technique is gonna come in handy much later in the game, because once you get more powerful weapons, you're gonna be able to fuse those together with each other. So imagine the Edge of Duality and a Yiga Clan sword or something like that. Or maybe the Edge of Duality and the Master Sword. Or maybe something else that's super powerful that I don't remember. So yeah, I think with the addition of having all those stronger items later on in the game, that's going to come in handy way more than using it in the beginning. But in the beginning, it could also come in handy because you might not have the items at your disposal. So you need to kind of think, what can I fuse to make myself stronger? And so then it makes you think, I wonder what all the possibilities are, and at that point, the possibilities are endless. What items are you gonna choose? So let's say you're on the beach, you got 3 logs, you got a couple fan thingies, and you're like, well, how do I cross this river without wasting all this stamina? Well, create a boat, maybe? Create a raft? You can do that with Ultra Hand. Ultra Hand allows you to basically take forth whatever items you have, combine them together, and then create an interesting mechanism. Now, Ultra Hand is what was shown for all those vehicles in the trailers prior, like the car, that little thing going up to the Talus when Link was standing on it, and then like the raft and the boat that was shown and the raft that was shown. That was all used with Ultra Hand. And also, the stuff that Link uses to fly in the air, that's also used with Ultra Hand. So it's pretty interesting stuff, and you can literally come up with however way you want it to look. It does not have to look anything like what we see in the trailer. It can look completely different. So that's the kind of beauty of Ultra Hand. And now the final ability that they showed off was known as Ascend. Ascend was basically going up to the second level of a room, or let's say you walk into a cave and you want to get to the second level. Well, no need to really climb all that much. You can get up to the second level using Ascend. And Ascend, yeah, you're gonna have to use some stamina for it, and there are some limitations, but it's worth it. So yeah, those were all the abilities and new gameplay features that they showed off. Now, Aonuma mentioned that there was a lot of stuff that they didn't show. I'm interested to see what he has to show us. Now, getting into some possibilities for Tears of the Kingdom that I wanted to mention, these are all what I think, and none of this was really shown in the game so far. So I just kind of wanted to talk about it on my own free will. Now, as far as new possibilities go, I really hope that all these abilities that we got will be used in temples as opposed to the Divine Beast. Nothing against the Divine Beast, but they all kind of look similar, and I would really love to get back to the classic dungeon style of Zelda. Now, another thing I also wanted to mention was possibility of when you fuse certain items, should there be a typing to them? Now, then that's going to kind of sound like Pokemon in a way, except for this, whether it's fire, ice, maybe you can add like a poison ability to it. If you hit someone, you can give them poison or something. So, stuff like that. Also, with the crafting available, I believe that fishing will become a thing in Zelda again, and you'll be able to, I believe that there's going to be a side quest available to create a fishing hole in Tears of the Kingdom. I think that would be freaking awesome. Imagine catching Lord Jabu Jabu in Tears of the Kingdom. That would be insane. I also think it would be pretty cool if Link had the ability to swim If Link had the ability to dive underneath the water, maybe have some sort of iron boots and a Zora tunic. I think that would be awesome. It would be awesome to even go back and have a water temple, as crazy as it is to say that. I also think a bigger palette of food would be cool to be able to create like we did in Breath of the Wild. I think that most of it kind of hard to find for me. I mostly ended up making dubious food. I don't like to mention it. I also think maybe the return of weapons that were in prior Zelda games, such as maybe like the whip or something like that. Like, we didn't really see a whip in Breath of the Wild, so maybe in Tears of the Kingdom we'll see some more weapons that are different. I also thought with the ability of adding those certain types of weapons, if maybe, yeah, the game could be open world, but there could also be some items that you don't have and that you have to retrieve possibly, or certain areas you can't get to because you gotta retrieve it. And it has nothing to do with the main story, it has to do with like a side quest. So possibly something like maybe having a whip so you can latch onto something to go onto the other side. But then if that's the case, then you might as well just use the flying technique. So I guess it contradicts it in many different ways, but it would be cool nonetheless to have something like that. Having items that you have to go out of your way to find to benefit from it. I also think we need more difficult enemies and with different fighting styles that allows you to kind of learn their combat styles and adjust to it as well. And then I also think that there's gotta be definitely more mysterious monster things that we could ride on. That'd be freaking awesome. We got the 2 from Breath of the Wild and some of the other animals as well. And I'm also thinking maybe side quests for the dragons. And other than that, that's all I got for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.